Report on Rio+20, the ninth installment in an ongoing series on multilateral agreements related to climate change, brought to you by iSciences. Kyoto and Beyond is a series on the evolving international climate treaty process that began with the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change. Report on Rio+20 is a summary of the negotiations at the UN Conference on Sustainable Development, called Rio+20, held June 20th through 22nd, 2012. This presentation will cover overview, outcome document, action at the UN high-level session, action outside of the UN process, and looking ahead. Rio+20's stated purpose was to create a global sustainability agenda for the coming decade. Its objectives were to renew political commitment, assess progress, and discuss emerging challenges. The dismal global economy, evidenced by the Eurozone crisis, has claimed leaders' attention. Meanwhile, the environment may be suffering a fate worse than debt, as global temperature rises, CO2 climbs, and forest areas decrease. Historically, how effective has the UN process been in addressing environmental issues? Its 2012 Global Environmental Outlook Report 5 found significant progress in just 4 areas. Text for Rio+20's proposed action plan, The Future We Want, underwent a slow and contentious pre-conference negotiation process. Finally, on June 19, Brazil edited the final document for the conference. The final text sidestepped targets, timelines, and roadmaps. Charged with editorial responsibility, Brazil chose to eliminate text where no agreement could be reached, and reinforced the CBDR principle, common but differentiated responsibilities. Women's rights activists criticized The Future We Want for its deliberate omission of women's reproductive rights, asserting that the declaration reversed progress. With modest outcomes preordained by the document text, UNCSD's high-level sessions never reached an inspired crescendo. Did Rio+20 meet its objectives? Though the stated purpose was to set a global sustainability agenda for the coming decade, the outcome produced few deadlines, actionable items, or accountability mechanisms. Action on charting a path to a green economy was thwarted by lack of operational instruments and by reluctance on the part of some developing nations to commit to targets and timelines. Rio+20 did advance the institutional framework for sustainable development, by strengthening UNEP with universal membership and increased financial commitment. Rio+20 also addressed IFSD by establishing a universal intergovernmental forum that will eventually replace the Commission on Sustainable Development. A working group to create sustainable development goals will assemble in the fall of this year and will submit its proposal in the fall of 2014. In its reference to climate change, The Future We Want reinforced common but differentiated responsibilities, contrasting with the UNFCCC's Durban Platform, which created movement towards climate responsibilities shared by both developed and developing countries. Rio+20 supported the phase-out of HFCs, but that pledge may already have been compromised. HFCs came into use after CFCs were banned under the successful Montreal Protocol. But HFCs, though better for the ozone, are much worse for global warming. Progress on other issues was without transformational movement. Corporate sustainability reporting is encouraged, but not required. GDP Plus will be developed, sustainable development financing needs will be assessed, and mechanisms for tech transfer will be identified. All movement relegated to points in the future. Voluntary actions outside of the formal UNCSD process demonstrated more vigor than the official meetings. Among the emerging trends was the rise of multi-stakeholder coalitions pushing to effect change. Though afforded only a single paragraph in Rio's action plan, Ban Ki-moon's Sustainable Energy for All initiative was impressively supported by financial commitments from banks, corporations, and some governmental units. Natural capital accounting received endorsement from major multinational corporations, representatives of the global financial sector, and from some influential nations. Among the many self-governing initiatives launched at Rio+20 were those by global sector coalitions in business, science, education, water, and transportation. Several online registries track sustainable development commitments, increasing accountability and transparency. Though actions may have been in short supply at Rio+20, opinions were not. Though Rio+20 did not deliver a roadmap to sustainable development, many commitments were generated through public-private partnerships. But without multilateral agreements, can any initiative reach necessary scale and pace? Watch for future installments of iScience's Kyoto and Beyond series.